Would you like to get 5 MLB picks for today, Tuesday, June 17th, including a 5-star play that I absolutely love? You have come to the right place. I'm Professor MJ from Quebec City in Canada, and I've been crushing online bookies since 1999. I quit my full-time job as a statistics professor at Laval University in 2022 after amassing more than $1 million with my sports bets. Now, let's talk about the famous daily lobster bet before I reveal today's free plays in MLB. So the last time I talked to you was Friday the 13th, and on that day we took no run scored in the first inning of the Pirates-Cubs game, which was a winner. On Saturday, my favorite bet across all sports was the Chicago White Sox plus 2.5 runs at the Rangers. And since Chicago lost by a 1-run margin in extra innings, we picked up the W again. On Sunday, my favorite play across the board was Quinn Priester from the Brewers to record under 16.5 outs. He got 18, so we lost this wager. And finally, yesterday, my favorite bet was the Thunder in the NBA with the minus 5.5 point spread for the first half against the Pacers. And since they held a 14-point lead at halftime, we got the W. So since I started offering my lobster bet to the public, we have accumulated 43 wins versus 12 losses. And now, if you're interested, I have opened up a package where you can get this week's lobster bets. So until next Sunday, you will get in your mailbox the daily lobster bet, which is the best wager across all sports. You can sign up by following the link below in the comments and also in the video's description. All right, so let's get started with today's MLB pick, shall we? And my first play of the day qualifies under a betting system called the snapped winning streak. It recommends betting against the road team if they lost their last game after winning at least 5 in a row. The rules are quite simple and yet super effective. Now, if you focus on the Arizona Diamondbacks schedule, well, today they are the visiting club in Toronto. And as you can see, they won 5 consecutive games before losing a couple of days ago, 8-2 against San Diego. So by following the rules, we must fade Arizona, which means we are betting the Toronto Blue Jays to win outright against Arizona today. Let's talk about this betting system for a minute. It generated very good profit when I first developed it in 2019. So I own a data set containing all data about all games from 2010 to 2016. And during this time frame, it generated great profit. And then in 2019, I started tracking every single day the performance of my 19 MLB betting systems, and it generated great profit again. However, this year it has struggled. It is not off to a great start. It owns an 8-12 record, but I still trust this system very much. Now, prior to their loss against San Diego, Arizona had won 5 in a row, as you just saw, and they had also won 9 of their past 12 games, so they had been on a hot streak. Meanwhile, the Jays just got swept by the Phillies, but prior to that, they were hot as well by posting a 12-3 record across a stretch of 15 matches. So the question is, can they bounce back today against the D-backs? Well, in my opinion, this is a good bet because we're getting some very reasonable odds. We have some equally matched teams, and the Jays are at home and they hold the pitching advantage in this case. So for Arizona, Brandon Pfaadt gets the nod. He had a very difficult rookie year as he posted a 5.72 ERA. Then last year he showed some improvement by obtaining a 4.71 ERA. But unfortunately for him, he's been a disappointment in 2025 because he has clearly regressed. His current ERA is 5.50 and his whip stat is 1.42, which is bad as well. Meanwhile, is Chris Bassett still a dominant force like he was in the past? The answer is no, but he's still enjoying a good 2025 campaign. He owns a 7-3 record along with a pretty good 3.70 ERA and an average 1.31 whip stat. So again, Toronto is at home, they have the pitching advantage, and the odds are very reasonable, and Toronto is supported by the snapped winning streak betting strategy, so I've got to side with Toronto in this spot. Up next, I have a 5-star play on the Minnesota Reds game, and my official play is to go with the Reds money line. Right now, the best odds are minus 116. Some bookies have a line of minus 120, minus 125. But honestly, I just don't get this betting line. Can someone explain it to me? I don't get it. The Reds should be favored by more than that. I think the line should be around minus 140 or minus 150, in my humble opinion. Now, some people may disagree with me, and that's fine. We're all entitled to our opinions, but I feel like the Reds should be favored by more than this. Both teams have a similar record, and again, Cincinnati is at home, and they have a huge pitching edge in this case. David Festa starts for Minnesota. He was quite ordinary in his rookie campaign last year, and he's been quite ordinary this year as well. And meanwhile, Andrew Abbott has been nothing short of spectacular. He currently owns a sparkling 1.87 ERA and a rock-solid 0.97 whip stat. Now, my only source of concern is Abbott's arm. Will he be fatigued? Because if you take a look at his last two outings, he made 100 and 116 pitches. So I'm a bit worried about arm fatigue in this case. But outside of this aspect, I absolutely love this play. Well, one more reason why I'm taking Cincinnati is because they've been playing some of their best baseball by winning 7 of their last 9 games. And meanwhile, the Twins are simply headed in the opposite direction by dropping 8 of their past 10 games overall. So there is no doubt in my mind that the Reds money line provides a lot better value than Minnesota's money line. There's no way I would back the Twins in this case. So that's my second pick. It is rated 5 stars out of 5, which means I view it as a premium play, and that's why it is being shared at mjpicks.com, which is the place to go if you want to get all of my high confidence plays. We've been dismantling the bookies since mid-December by posting a profit between 60 and 70 units. All right, my third pick features the Mets-Braves game. And now, in this case, we all know how these two ball clubs just despise each other. Plain and simple. It's an old and bitter rivalry. But in this case, I have got to side with the road underdog, the New York Mets. So let me show it to you, the official play here. The Mets money line at plus 115 odds, or 2.15 in decimal. So I'm taking New York, even though they don't appear to be in top form at the current moment. They were the victim of a pretty awful sweep against Tampa Bay. In that series, they got outscored 24-9. Come on, man. But I believe going on the road will be like a breath of fresh air for New York, as there will be less pressure on their shoulders to perform. Here is an interesting fact. So both starters for today are coming off a complete game, which rarely happens. David Peterson just shut out Washington over 106 pitches, whereas Spencer Schwellenbach gave up 2 runs via 105 pitches. Now, the Braves are one of the most inconsistent teams in MLB this season, and they are probably the biggest disappointment compared to the preseason expectations. Atlanta just got spanked 10-1 against the hapless Rockies, which is shameful. So their confidence is low as well. So like I said, the Mets are not in top form, but it's not like the Braves were on fire and they were upbeat about what happened recently. They just got destroyed by the Rockies, which is shameful. And ultimately, the Mets are the stronger team, so I feel like we have a bit of value on the Mets money line. Now I have decided to rate it 2 stars out of 5, which means its expected ROI, in my opinion, is around plus 2%, maybe 2.5%. So it's a small plus EV bet, in my opinion. All right, now we have 2 more picks to go, but first let's take a quick break because I want to mention the fact that I received the best Father's Day present ever. My 2 sons were playing a deck hockey game on Sunday morning, and in that league, they play together, so they play for the same team. And their team lost 6-5, but my sons accounted for 100% of the offense, as Maverick scored 3 goals and got 2 assists, while his younger brother, Jay, got 2 goals and 3 assists. And even if they had not scored any goals, in my mind, they played their best game together ever. They made great passes all game long. They had a lot of scoring chances. They could have gotten even more goals. They played fantastically well. I was so proud of them. And to do it on Father's Day was a blessing. I'm very grateful for that. So let me show you those 5 goals, and then we will go back to the MLB predictions. So I'll see you again in a few seconds. We are back, my friend, and I want to pick a big road underdog that, in my opinion, has a good shot of winning. The odds are very enticing, and it is rated 4 stars out of 5. And the underdog in question is the Boston Red Sox. I feel like they have a true shot of winning in Seattle today. So once again, to me, this line is mispriced and the line is way too high on Boston. As you can see from the screenshot I shared with you, the best current odds are plus 155 or 2.55 in decimal format. The Mariners are being overvalued in this spot, as Boston owns a slightly better overall record. They own a better run differential, and they have been much hotter lately. In fact, the Red Sox are riding a 6-game winning streak, and they got the W in 9 of their past 11 contests overall. And meanwhile, Seattle is slipping away, as they have posted, during their last 25 games, a disappointing 9-16 record. They used to be in first place of the AL West division, but they just keep slipping away and slipping away. And if I remember correctly, they are now 4.5 games behind the Astros. Well, the current price can only be explained by a single reason, and it's the fact that Bryan takes the mound for the Mariners. But he has not been so good in recent times. If you focus on his last 3 appearances on the mound, he has squandered 12 earned runs in 18 2/3 innings. Now, if you do the calculations, that translates into a 5.79 ERA. So even that reason is not does not explain the current line, in my opinion. Now, I understand that Walker Buehler has not been so good this season, but at least he showed some signs of life 6 days ago against Tampa Bay. He threw 7 frames, he struck out 7 batters, he showed just a single walk, and he gave up 3 runs over 6 hits. So this was a pretty good performance for Buehler. And here is a fun fact. I'm not saying it's a great argument that supports the Boston Red Sox play, but the Mariners have lost each of their last 6 games as favorites against AL East opponents. So let's make it 7 in a row, shall we? So for all of these reasons, my 4th pick is the Boston Red Sox to get the win at big juicy odds in Seattle. Now I want to wrap up this video with a 5th prediction. This time I am going with a player prop bet. I'm taking Robbie Ray from San Francisco to record under 6.5 strikeouts. So in other words, I expect him to get a maximum of 6 punch-outs against Cleveland today. Alright, so in this case, the best line is -110 with Bet365. I also saw -113 with BetRivers, -118 with FanDuel, -120 with BetMGM, BWin, and Sports Interaction. So those are all lines that are fair to me. Now, this is a pretty scary bet on the surface because if you would have placed this wager in each of Robbie Ray's 14 starts, you would have obtained a 5-9 record. But, number 1, Cleveland has struck out the 11th fewest times in the majors this season, so they are not that easy to strike out as a team. Next, Robbie Ray is coming off a more difficult outing in the thin air at Coors Field. I know it's not easy to pitch at Coors Field, but we're talking about the lowly Rockies whose offense is quite bad. And yet, Robbie Ray needed 93 pitches to get 4 innings. And in those 4 innings, he gave up 4 runs. And finally, one more argument is the fact that Robbie Ray has a much higher strikeout rate on the road, and today he is at home. So since 2023, his strikeout rate on the road is 12.0 versus 9.8 at home. So that's a pretty significant difference. So I know this is a scary bet, but I still like to go with Robbie Ray under 6.5 strikeouts. Alright, so you can review my 5 plays for today. So the Blue Jays, Reds, Mets, and Red Sox money lines are all great. My 2 favorite plays are the Reds and the Red Sox. So again, I want to thank you very much for watching this video. I will be back tomorrow with more MLB predictions. And don't forget that you have the opportunity to sign up for the daily Lobster Bet, which has been crushing on sports books since I started this new service on April 23rd. So I invite you to sign up for the daily Lobster Bet by following the link below. So that's it for me today. I'm Professor MJ, wishing you a great day. I'll see you again tomorrow. Cheers, my friend.